عن سعد بن أبي وقاص رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم: أربع من السعادة: المرأة الصالحة، والمسكن الواسع، والجار الصالح، والمركب الهني. وأربع من الشقاء: الجار السوء، والمرأة السوء، والمركب السوء، والمسكن الضيق. رواه ابن حبان في صحيحه. Sayyidina Sa'd bin Abi Waqqas radiyallahu anhu narrated that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, four things are considered from the good fortune of a person: having a pious, a good wife, having a spacious house or residence, and having a good neighbor, a pious neighbor, and having a comfortable ride. And four things are considered from the misery of a person: having a bad neighbor, having a bad wife, having a bad conveyance, and having a narrow residence. Four things that Rasulullah mentioned here. He also mentioned the opposite of those. Having four things that Rasulullah mentioned here, they are indirectly a sign of that person's good fortune or having a good life. And if someone is living their life in the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then in some ways these four things will come with it, but not a guarantee. So having a good wife and having a spacious house, having a good neighbor, and having a comfortable ride are four things that are considered amongst the good fortune of a person. Meaning, if you have these four things, thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you have the best of all. You have a good wife who takes care of you, who protects your honor, your dignity in your absence, who keeps a good eye on your house, who looks after your children, and who's also your source of comfort. And having a spacious house, meaning a house that is large enough for you and for your family. Because if your house is not large enough that can provide enough space for you and for your family, then you will always be looking for something else. You will be restless. You will always be complaining as well. I wish I had a bigger house. I wish I had a bigger house. So having a large enough house that is good for your needs, for your family's needs, is a ni'mah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is a blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And third thing is having a good neighbor. A good neighbor is someone who doesn't bother you. A good neighbor is someone who looks after you. A good neighbor is not the one who is noisy. A good neighbor is not the one who's always spying on you. A good neighbor is one, when you are not there, he protects your home. He keeps an eye on whether your house is being safe or being protected or not. And if you need your neighbor will be there to help you. That's a good neighbor. And last thing is having a comfortable ride. Something that you do not have to worry about. Something that doesn't cause you pain. Something that doesn't cause you anxiety and distress. And then the four things that are opposite of that are considered bad things, which means that if you are going through one of those, then ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for sabr and for replacement. So if you have a bad neighbor, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, oh Allah, replace this neighbor with a good one. Or if you have a bad wife, a wife who is not honest to you, who is not faithful to you, a a wife who's not loyal to you, who's not caring for you, who is selfish, who only cares about herself, who doesn't worry about you, that's not a good wife. So if you have that, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to change that wife or replace that wife. Number 3, وَالْمَرْكَبُ السَّوْء, and a bad ride, a bad conveyance. If you have a bad car that breaks down all the time, that gives you a headache all the time, or a car that eats too much gas, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to replace it for you. وَالْمَسْكَنُ الضَّيِّقُ, and the last thing is having a narrow house, a narrow residence. That's not enough for you. That's not large enough for you. So if you have that, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give you a better house, a better place to live, where you can live comfortably. Not live like a royal, but live comfortably. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillah.